Hello, everybody, and welcome to PACE2019 Global Speedrun Association, coming at you live, one of the first live competitive speedrunning events with major prize pools. It's going to be lit. It's going to be banging. And, yeah, I'm one of the organizers for the event and main Mario 64 commentator for Global Speedrun Association.
I'm Cheese. I am also one of the main organizers of the event and part of GSA staff. I'm also taking part in the event, so I'm pretty nervous.
I think we all are a little bit. My name's Milo. I'm also one of the event organizers. And before we get started, we want to thank everyone who's tuning in right now, who will over the weekend, and who's followed GSA up until this point, up until our live event. Everyone who obviously came out to the event itself the support has been amazing, and of course the people that have worked with us to make this event possible: Twitch, Speedrun.com, VG Bootcamp, and Xanadu Games, who are helping us host this event. Without them, we would be in way over our heads, so we can't thank them enough.
Huge shout-outs.
MagFest, who came through with really fun things for the attendees to do here, and the developers of one of our league games, Celeste, Matt Makes Games, who are the developers, sponsoring the prize pool for the Celeste League in particular. Huge shout-outs to them.
Huge shout-outs.
Of course, we cannot leave you guys off without mentioning the staple of speedrunning events, the showcase runs. So we have not only the competitive part, but we got some showcase runs for you guys all night long. Of course, this event is going to be 24 hours for the next 4 days, so you guys would always have content to see overnight. And we have some hot showcase runs from the biggest names in speedrunning, and a lot of new players too, you know, give them, it would shine some nice light on them. And yeah, can't wait. Super
Absolutely. Stoked. So what are you looking forward to the most?
What I'm looking forward to, I want to win my league.
Oh, okay. Big talk coming out from Cheese. Might do it. You've had a couple good games. The throws have been kind of hard, but
that was a throws, man.
Hard.
Oh man, I'm looking forward to the 120-star race. Seeing Siglemic live in the flesh, the man, the big wig. Oh, it's gonna be great. How about you, Milo?
I mean, I'm looking forward to everything. I wish I could stay awake literally all 85 hours.
Yeah. You can.
I very well might. Yeah. But in particular, of course, like all the league matches and the league finals on Sunday in particular. But definitely, specifically, I want to see some of these players rise to the occasion in this live competitive format, because it is so different to what any of the runners are used to. So it'll be interesting to see who kind of cracks under the pressure and who thrives.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right, guys. Without further ado, I hope you enjoy PACE. And we have a fun little trailer for you guys of the upcoming showcase runs. So hope you enjoy, guys.
All right. Move quick.
You do things. Oh my god.
I'm dead. No way! Wow, that is, oh, I love that.
Whoa!
Oh my god!
Alright, that's fine.
cycled him. I have never one cycled him before in my entire life.
Actually, I could just get Zubats in front. That's better anyway. No.
And hello, everyone. I am Electric, and here with me is FC Racers. We've got some Celeste races for you. We're going to be starting out today with Fladervy versus Chaikitty. I'm really excited for this race. How about you?
I am super thrilled for this. I know that Chaikitty has been working very hard and knocking his times down pretty much really close to Fladervy. I think there's a 10-second difference overall. So definitely looking forward to this match here. Maybe an upset?
Oh, yeah. Chaikitty has demonstrated, like, especially since the beginning of this league, he's improved really drastically, and he's demonstrated that when he's on, he's really on.
Yes.
And so, especially if Flad is having just a little bit of an off day, maybe the venue just a little bit disorienting and such, Chai can certainly take this very handily. I believe his average time only about like 40 seconds or so behind Flad's average.
Yeah.
And so he definitely is in the realm of being able to take it if he has a very, very solid run.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, like Flad is on to. I mean, we have the stats here, as you can see on the screen. So Flad with an average time of 28:45 and Chaikitty with an average time of 29:27. And then their best times in the league right now, just a 22-second difference. And in Celeste, that is not a lot of time.
Oh, yeah, not at all. That's basically accounted for by a Bubs drop fail, which, as you can see here, interestingly, Chaikitty actually has a better percentage on that trick than Flad. And so going into 5B, that's certainly going to be a thing to watch out for, is whether Chai is able to go ahead and maybe take a little bit of a time save if Flad messes up there.
That is definitely true. And as you see, too, even though Chai has the better Bubs drop, Fladervy with the better percentages on tricks overall. So we have, like, Battle and Boost and Reflection. We have Lake Skip as another one, too. Some of these smaller ones, which aren't as detrimental as Bubs drop, those things can really add up. So it's going to be very important for both runners to try and get all of those tricks down. So I'm looking forward to it. Demo is actually another one too.
Oh, yeah. Demo Dash is going to be... Do you think we're going to end up seeing checkpoint lists from both these guys? I'm kind of expecting it from Flad, but Chai, not quite so sure.
That's a tough call, honestly. I think that... I feel like Chai, depending on how he feels, I think he's going to go for it. I feel like almost that he feels like... I feel like he has to. It is a 2-second difference, and in this situation, you really want to try to save as much time as you want, especially against such a high-level competitor as Fladervy. So we'll have to see. If we get in, the risk reward is huge. It's like you save 2 seconds or you lose 8. So we'll have to see. I mean, you know, Demo actually just pretty much started picking up speed during the any percent tournament that GSA put on, if I remember correctly. So it's a little more fleshed out, I guess. It's like a little more smooth out. People are definitely getting more used to it, and it's come as like second nature versus Bubs drop, which actually started during the Celeste League, if I'm not mistaken. So
yeah, and in case, because I know we're going to have a lot of casual viewers out home, we are going to be explaining all of these things during the run. It would certainly be an enormous task to try to explain all of these different tricks before you're able to even see them on screen. So
yeah,
don't fret if you don't understand exactly what we're referencing here. We will be discussing and explaining all of it while the race is going on.
And then also looking at the times too, the really big one, and this is probably what is definitely the most important one, is the average summit time. Now, to those of you who are unfamiliar with the game, Summit is the final chapter of the game, and it is the longest chapter. Basically what it is a recap of all of the stages that you're going to see when we run through the game. As you can see, Fladervy with a 14.5 second lead on his average. And even though the average is 8:30, Fladervy has been known to do sub 8:10. Like it's just waking up, I'm going to do it in 8:08 or an 8:07 or something like that. So,
and I believe also this stat isn't shown on the card, but I think the comparison between average and best is actually better on Flad's side than Chai's. I think Chai is known to play a little bit worse off of his best on Summit, so could certainly make up some time there, but that inconsistency isn't something that you want to be bringing with you going into this race setting.
Absolutely, especially with the setting here too. So the setting's a little different. In the league, it was 3 races overall, and each race was awarded 1 point with an additional point to the winner of the set. This time we're doing 2 out of 3. So we want to do it, you know, you gotta hit those.
Oh, it is still the best of 3 with the point system.
Yeah.
So either one of these guys is going to walk away with all 4 points or going to be 3-2-1. So it's either way, regardless if someone wins the first 2 races outright, we are going to be seeing a race 3. And it's just a matter of 1 point being distributed for each win and then 1 point being distributed to whoever gets the best of 3. And the way that we've got the semifinals, so to speak, set up in this group stage is all 4 of our competitors will be racing all of the other 3, and whoever the 2 that have the most points after all of those group stage races are done will be the 2 that go into the grand finals. And the 3rd place will just be awarded based on points. There will not be a bronze match.
I'm definitely looking forward to that too. And then also we have Super Mario Odyssey coming up right after this too. Oh my gosh.
And Mario 64.
Yeah.
Both. If you've never seen a run of either of those games, oh man, if you've ever played a Mario game, definitely be sure to check those out. Odyssey just has some really wicked movement throughout, especially with Cappy. And then Mario 64 needs no introduction.
Exactly, yeah.
It's the king of video games, basically.
Definitely looking forward to that as we see our runners getting set up. I mean, you know, I'm looking at both runners here. Fladervy just focused in. I mean, he's like ready. He's ready to get this thing going. Chai, you're seeing a little bit, you know, a little more relaxed, kind of like looking out into the audience and everything else, you know, with his great superstar personality, as I like to put it. I mean, like, as I said, Chai has exploded on the scene when he, you know, he was in the GSA 80% tournament, and then coming into the league, he started out, I believe, like around 33. And then all of a sudden, just boom, he's at like sub 30. So
yeah, his improvement has just been insane.
Yeah,
at the beginning of the league, I honestly did not expect him to make it this far into the finals, but he really put the work in, and it's certainly shown, especially with his new best time. And I think too, his average probably gets at least a little bit pulled down by those earlier races. So that'll be an interesting thing to see how exactly this race will be going with all of the improvements he's made throughout this league.
Yeah, definitely. I'm curious to see how he's going to handle Resort, because I know he does not like Resort. He's been very adamant during his stream talking about how much he doesn't like Resort at all. Also, Reflection, Chapter 6. We got, you know, of course, the battle and chase and the battle and fight and everything like that.
Yeah,
just like,
especially the back half of that. Taking a death there is just absolutely brutal.
We have seen runners, most notably the final screen, like the very last screen before the end of the chapter, or, you know, before you level up, where we've seen mishaps left and right. And then there's just some other rooms too. Like, you know, demo has been very successful, but that room after demo dash.
Oh yeah, you see people get checkpointless demo and then immediately take a death trying to go for task cycle.
Exactly.
And it's like,
it's just like, I mean, you got the hard part out of the way. I mean, it is task cycle, but you know, it's just those little things. So, and of course too, you know, deaths, obviously they're gonna try to run and not die as many times, because it's like at least 1.5 seconds to respawn. But we're going to want to look to see for, like, just mess-ups on movement, you know, a couple bonks here and there, some corner bops. I have seen those, especially in Awake. That has happened.
Yeah, and movement is the biggest, huge thing in Celeste. Celeste effectively has just an enormously high skill ceiling due to that soft speed cap and your ability to just build up momentum, which you'll be seeing that really quickly as soon as these guys start their race. But you'll probably end up seeing at some point, to the viewers at home, one of the racers pulling ahead by a few seconds just from movement alone. That's how significant you're able to retain momentum, build up even more momentum. And if you're familiar with TASes, or tool-assisted speedruns, where you effectively program a computer to play the game for you, and you can do impossible things like hit A 30 times a second or hit very precise angles and such, the TAS is 6 minutes faster in this game. And it's only like about a half-hour speedrun. The world record's at 27:50. And those 6 minutes are all just exclusively, effectively, corner boosting, and just that further momentum build up from it. So, like, if that isn't an indicator of just how high the skill ceiling can go with humans just progressively optimizing their corner boosting, I don't know what is.
Also, too, demo dashes. Like, going through a lot of stuff. I feel that a year from now, we're going to see more of those.
Yeah, especially if we can find more setups.
Yeah, if you can find more, like, just fail-safe setups to get those demo dashes, like, it's going to pay off in the long run. But, you know,
I think we actually saw, I forget who it was, but someone went for it in a race towards the end of the league. One of the later ones on Summit. I forget exactly where in Summit, but
I know when I was in the GSA 80% tournament, I did go for one on flag 4.
I think that may have actually been what I was thinking
of. It might have been me.
me.
You know, not toot my own horn or anything, but no, yeah, that's just one of them. It just saves a little bit of time.
The other big change I feel like we're going to see in the relatively near future is 6B being integrated into runs.
I think so too. I think that, you know, runners are looking for those things. And I mean, even now, people that are running it, because it's a part of ARB. Like, are all red berries for those that are unfamiliar with the category. 6B is the optimal route to go. So I do feel that as more people dive into the all red berries category and they get more comfortable with 6B, they could take that dive and just be like, well, I'm going to just put it in with 6A and we're just going to go for it. So
yeah, and especially if the equivalent of Bub's Drop is found somewhere in 6B.
Oh my gosh,
it'll
yeah.
Because already 6B is technically faster. It's just executing it perfectly to get that extra time save. It
Yeah.
is just wicked hard.
we won't talk about how hard 6B is.
Yeah, if you've played the game casually, you know the
casually.
B-sides are just brutal.
I think my quote from when my first playthrough on 6B was like, "We're not done yet." It's just like the room was so hard. I'm like, this has to be the last room, and then it's just like, nope. And I'm just like, I'm still here. Oh, but no, it's a really good one too. Also, we have the Chapter 9 DLC on the horizon too.
Yep, and that'll
so-
be a super. I remember Tej talking about not wanting to overplay the Celeste before this tournament. But if Chapter 9 comes out...
Yeah, definitely. But now, see, here's the thing. So, Matt Makes Games, the developer behind Celeste, they are avid speedrunners, and they enjoy the speedrunning culture themselves. And you can definitely see that in this game. With some of the updates and patches that they've done, they've made it, like Demo Dash, for example. Demo Dash was brought in through a patch.
Yeah, and like the wall bounce mechanic, I think, was also improved in a
wall
patch.
bouncing mechanic and corner boosting. So, it's going to be interesting to see because... from what I understand, Chapter 9 is going to be the final update to the game. I'm interested to see just what Matt and the gang have in mind to just kind of slip in like, oh, we found this thing so you can now go even faster.
Oh, yeah.
And
that would
thing,
be wild.
It's going to be crazy. I'm definitely looking forward to it. And, of course, shout out to Matt Make Games. I mean, you guys have made a wonderful game. I can sit here and gush about Celeste. It's like my first speedrun game. So
yeah, and I mean, even just as a casual game, Celeste has a very beautiful story. And Matt Thorson, I mean, just huge shout outs to the guy. He also, I believe, donated, I think, like $5,000 towards the prize pool for Celeste.
Correct,
so just huge shout outs to Matt. And yeah, we'll probably talk a little bit about the story for our casual viewers, especially like in the later races once we've kind of gone over all the main speed tech and such. But basically, you're trying to climb a mountain for various personal reasons, and it's very heartfelt, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, like, from my own experience, I saw the trailer on the Nintendo Direct, and I was like, oh, this is like a game that's perfect for me. I love a platformer. I love like dash mechanics and stuff like that. And I was like, I'm definitely going to pick this up because it looks like it's a lot of fun. I was not ready.
Yeah.
I was not ready for the heartfelt story and like the relatable story. Like,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
You get through, I'm playing through and we're watching, I have my streamers in there and we're just watching it. I'm going through like one of the cutscenes. And then I just stop and I'm like, this is getting a little too real. This is getting and then they're like, it's hitting too close. I'm just like, no. And I'm like, I know. And like, it's so good. It's so good. Like, definitely.
It's certainly one of those situations like with Undertale or a number of other games where you can just tell the developer really poured their heart and soul into it.
Definitely. And I'm just like so excited for it. If you have not picked up the game, it's like,
oh yeah, what are you doing if you haven't picked up Celeste? Celeste has the right to be a $60 game, but it's only like $20, I think.
And I think it was on sale not too long ago on the eShop too. And it's available everywhere. You have it on the Nintendo Switch, you have it on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. It's just like it's so good. I mean, and some people might be intimidated, but like it's a hard game.
It is certainly challenging, but I think casually it's very manageable.
But I love how the game can like motivate you. There's like a certain charm about it. It's really hard to describe unless you actually play the game, but it has this ability where it makes you want to speedrun the game. It makes you want to get better. And so,
or if not that, just play through the game. Like my hands were extremely sore going through Summit, but I just wanted to reach the end. I wanted to finally conquer the mountain, and it's really amazing how the game really like drives that home in your head.
It really does. It's a good analogy, like just from like any personal experiences. It's like just trying to climb a mountain. How many people feel like that they have one that's in front of them when they're going through like work or like personal things, this, that, and the other. Like it's a good like just reflection on things that you encounter on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, and especially like with regard to like self-doubt and all of those other sorts of like. There's certainly a really nice emphasis on mental health and like actually like working through instead of like just straight ignoring various issues.
Anxiety is a big one, which unfortunately you don't see in the run.
Yeah,
but
because we do skip all of the cutscenes. But one of the chapters
cutscenes.
actually ends with a panic attack, and that's like whenever it actually happens, you're just like, whoa, jeez.
And then like even the trick that they do, where like there's a mini game that is also in there too. That works really well. Like, I've had like I had a friend that was like just kind of like just they were feeling very anxious and kind of like felt like an attack was coming on. I just reiterated. I was like, just like picture this and try to go for it, and it really calmed them down and got them like, got their bearings back. So
I've actually used it myself. Like,
I
in my
have used
personal
it
life,
too.
and it
like,
works really well.
So it looks like we are still getting squared away here. And then also, too, we have a bunch of showcase races.
Oh, yeah. Which showcase races are you looking forward to? Because I have my short list, but...
I'm mad because I'm not going to be able to catch Titanfall 2 by Brian Otto. That's going to be later in the evening. I am excited to see the Deltarune run, even though I haven't played through the game all. I know I'm so bad at. I started playing when it came out, and then I was like, but like every game, let's put it on the back burner. It's fine. But no, like I'm looking forward to that. Actually, Dave Stereo, he has 2 games. He's running. I think it's the Phantom Menace.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing that one on the list.
And then there's the 4-way Mario 64 race.
Oh man, that's gonna be so hype.
I mean, any race is gonna be super hype. So I'm looking forward to that as well. I'm looking forward to my Invisible Percent race.
Oh, that one's gonna be
it's not a
super
race,
cool to watch.
but it's gonna be fun. So especially like if you watch these guys run. So to give a little backstory, in Celeste there's a variant mode where basically you can turn on and off like different mod settings, so to speak. One of them is called Invisible Motion, where basically anytime that Madeline is moving, she cannot be seen on screen. And so I run that as a category, and a couple other people. So I don't have world record, unfortunately, but I'm very close. I'm going to gun for it today, or when I do the run, we'll see.
Wait, is this table made of wood? Let's knock on it. Let's see.
Oh, I mean, I can always do that too. No. But no, I'm definitely looking forward to it. And then, of course, if you're in the Laurel area, we are at Xanadu Games. Like, come on by. Like,
yeah, registration is actually still open, unlike other events where the registration closes pretty early. We do still have registration fully open, so you can come out, pay your, I think it's $55 entrance fee, and then just come right in.
Yeah, and that covers the entire weekend. So that's always a nice thing, too.
And like in addition to the really awesome stream room that we've got set up with like huge displays and of course the really nice stage setup, you also have full access to like the actual Xanadu Games ground where they have like a ridiculous melee setup. I was shocked by it when I walked in. Like,
yeah, when I was checking out the venue, because I saw Pound last week as well. Just get a little bit, but like to be here, like this venue is absolutely gorgeous. I love it. It's just like so much space. If you're looking to play like any Smash Brothers game, they've got you covered. So it's looking really great. So let's see. Still trying to get going here. Actually, yeah. What are your predictions? Let's talk about our predictions for this first matchup here between Flad and Chai.
So I'm definitely thinking that just based off of cleaner movement, Flad will probably pull an early lead coming out of chapters 1 and 2. I wouldn't say any more than maybe 15 seconds, if that.
Okay.
Then going into chapter 3, I think it really just kind of depends on how Chai is feeling and how Chai is playing today. And I feel like Golden Ridge and 5B are going to be where we're really going to see a lead get solidified at first.
Definitely.
And we do have visual now, so should be about ready to start. So we've got Flad repping Portuguese from his home country of Brazil with the file name
of always of the
and then of course Chai with Archie, the beautiful file name.
Archie actually is I think it's the most recent trick that has been discovered in Golden Ridge. I don't know how to do it myself. I'll put it out there. I haven't implemented that, but I believe that you're demoing into a bubble, and it allows you to completely pass stuff.
Here we go.
Yeah, here we go.
All right, so they're moving into the prologue now. Interestingly, you can't actually dash during the prologue until you get to the falling bridge section here. And so they're just going to be trying to optimize their general movement here. Now, Celeste goes off of in-game time, so you can look at the top left of the screen to see that in-game timer going off. But we're not actually going to have perfect synchronization because of that, unfortunately. Although we are able to mildly speed up and slow down the video to manually sync. So you can do this. So that old woman just laughed at you telling you can't climb this mountain, it's too hard. We're going to prove her wrong in about 30 minutes or less.
Yep. All right, so we are moving into Forsaken City. The Forsaken City is a beautiful level that kind of showcases all the tech that we're going to see. As you can see, they're doing the wall bounces. We're seeing extended hypers here. We're going to see a reverse hyper coming up. Corner boost, ultras, like you name it, it's all in City, and it's just a great representation. And off the bat, it looks like Chai is a little bit ahead here as we head into this first reverse hyper.
Yeah, just overall cleaner movement. Now, to kind of elaborate a bit on what hypers are, hyper is short for a hyper dash. For whatever reason, when you crouch and hold a direction, so like hold down right, ooh, Flad with that little bobble there, going to cost a couple of seconds and solidify Chai's lead. Flad, just a little bit unclean movement, trying to boost a little bit too early in a couple of spots.
Nice corner boost there from Flad as well. And again, this is that nerves thing that I was kind of like talking about. And I think once we get past that, they're going to be doing just fine. But Chai with a good lead here. Just a few screens less here in City.
Yeah, commentator very obviously not quite checking the script. And, you know, predicting Flad going to win over Chai in Chapter 1. But
speaking of, here we go. So,
Chai losing some time, but is able to make it up pretty cleanly overall. And then Flad making the same exact mistake.
Oh, no.
What? Oh, man, that's pretty brutal. So we see Chai with a 137. Not a bad Chapter 1 time. Certainly a bit behind what you're expecting, especially due to the issue on that second to last room or so. But moving now into Old Site, personally, this is probably my favorite aesthetic level, mainly because of, like, in this initial part here, which has a little bit of an interesting twist for those that haven't played the game, which we'll elaborate on when we get to the end of it. But, like, the way that the stars are falling in the background is just so beautiful to me.
And also, this song in particular.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out to Lena Rain, of course, with the soundtrack. I believe that this is actually the most listened to track on Spotify out of the entire album, and it's just really good.
And it would certainly make sense. Now, you see them going through these colorful blocks. These are called dream blocks, and when Madeline boosts into them, it carries on the dash all the way through. Now, if you run into a wall instead of empty space on the other side, you will instantly die. So the movement that they're doing here to kind of try to skip some small sections of movement are pretty precise and can cause deaths if done a little bit wrong, and especially now that you have Battlein chasing you. So this is the first time you see the main antagonist of this game, a bad version of yourself. This is effectively the voice of self-doubt telling you you're not a mountain climber, you can't climb this mountain, what are you doing?
Ooh.
And Chai with a pretty rough death there. So through this entire section, Battlein is exactly replicating your movements, and you're having to do some kind of weird waiting in a couple of spots in order to make sure that Battlein isn't going to be in your way later on in the room.
And actually, with that death, it puts Flad slightly ahead here as we head to this final room. We have these coin switches here where you have to activate all of them, and it'll move a block, allowing you to progress further. But we have 5 Battleins there, not being an issue for either runner as they make their way through. Flad taking a little bit of an alternate route there. That was a new one for me.
Yeah, I definitely think it was just a misdirected dash or something. It was certainly strange.
All right, here we go. This is what I'm waiting for. Awake and with the sync. Let's go. So this is where that movement we were talking about is really going to come into play. There's no hazards here. You really just have to have absolute solid movement. And look at this from both runners. Oh, my gosh. Let's go.
Yeah, just absolutely synchronized here, skipping over those boost platforms to avoid
the corner
losing
boost
speed.
there too. Wow, look at this, you guys. Oh, my God.
Man,
no, let's
near
go.
perfect sync going into Resort. Now, real quick, the little twist I'd mentioned was the first half of the chapter, you're actually asleep and dreaming. And so that little break where you see Madeline basically restart the chapter is her waking up. Now, what we're going into now is effectively the Grand Budapest Hotel of this game. Just a nice rundown, formerly luxury hotel. But this is really where the difficulty really starts to pick up. That trick that we mentioned before the run started, Demo Dash, the Demo Dash is actually a general name, but we use it to specifically refer to this trick because it's the only Demo Dash in the game right now. So what we're going to be doing is a pixel-perfect dash through 2 death planes. So all these moving red guys, we call them dust bunnies, fly with a little bit of a bobble there that is going to cause him to fall a little bit behind in this key room here. Chai really playing nicely. Like I was kind of saying before, if Chai has an on day, this could certainly be his race, and it certainly is looking like an on day.
Yeah, he's
ooh, Chai with an instant dash into the dust bunny, though. Commentator's curse in full effect here at Xanadu Games.
That's going to get Flad ahead a little bit here. Also, what we're doing is we're basically finding these keys so we can progress through as we head to Huge Mess, which is one of the pivotal story points of the chapter here. But,
yeah, so that ghost butler, so to speak, here is trying to get you to stay in this hotel, and he's like the perfect embodiment of service. You know, he wants to be as helpful as possible, but kind of just gets too caught up in his own head at times. So you see him here leading us into this now huge mess. So we haven't really talked in depth about these, but corner boosting is a somewhat newer mechanic that has really made this game make huge leaps and bounds in terms of speed. So when you boost into and like effectively go around a corner with the boost, you can gain a lot of momentum that for whatever reason this game doesn't actually have like a hard speed cap. And so if you're able to chain those corner boosts efficiently, you can effectively build up as much speed as you want. And so in that huge mess, because there's so many angles throughout, it's very tricky to optimize, but you can use corner boosting to go way faster through that section. And that's effectively corner boosting is how you're going to be gaining a lot of time throughout this run, but especially in sections like this where you just have a ton of tricky geometry, that's really where you want to optimize those boosts.
As well as ultra dashes too. We're going to see one here on Chai's screen. Nicely done. So with an ultra is we're taking the hyper dash, and then once we... So you do an extended hyper, let me start with that, which allows you to do a hyper dash and then maintain your dash while you're in the air, and so allowing you to do another hyper. And when you combine those together, that's when we have an ultra. And again, there is no cap on the speed, so it allows runners to just really start going super fast. And you'll see that in a later chapter in 5A, where we have our yeet coming up.
Yep,
so,
yeet is one of the best tricks just from name alone, I feel like.
Definitely. And then also with battle and boost 2 in reflection. Those are probably the 2 areas where you're going to see just how fast Madeline can get going here.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. She can go very, very quickly. And especially in that task that we mentioned before, the task can just go absolutely wild. In fact, there are some stages, I think like 8C's tasks, Madeline goes so fast that you can't see her on screen. She goes faster than the screen transitions.
That is true. And actually,
Flad missing the crystal there is able to make a very nice save. But that is going to give Chai yet another... Well, Chai's still a little bit behind when you watch the in-game timer, but about to come up here on
demo.
So, like I said, this is a pixel-perfect dash through these dust bunnies. It doesn't look like there's a gap here. Okay, Chai is going to go ahead and take this checkpoint, and Flad too, just to be safe. And Chai gets it first time. Also, real quick, we are aware that there isn't game audio, but we are going to be fixing the game audio issue once the run is over. So apologies for that no game audio issue.
Ooh, nice improvisation there from Chai. Getting a little hung up there on the first screen. So now we are in the Oshiro section.
Yeah, so basically Oshiro has shown you the presidential suite. He's really desperate to get you to stay at this hotel. But then Battlein just directly insults him very vigorously and makes him very angry. And so then this happens.
Yeah, and basically Oshiro's going to line up, and you see that lightning bolt kind of come by, and he's just going to make a mad dash where Madeline's last position was on screen. In addition to that, we've got springs and dust bunnies and the whole 9 yards. She's just trying to get out of this resort. Most notably, this final screen here. If you played the game casually, you know all about this screen.
Yup.
And it's a big one. And even to top runners now, things can go awry. But so far, Chai, ooh.
Yeah, very nice dash down to be able to save that.
Wow.
And all right, so
we got about a
Chai,
6 second
yeah,
difference.
6 seconds behind. Not a bad start at all, especially going against someone as dominant as Flad.
We are moving into Golden Ridge here.
Now, so the gimmick mechanic in Golden Ridge is that it is very windy. And if you've ever played this game casually, you hate it, I feel like.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't like this chapter. I'm not a fan. I'm not going to lie. 4B, though, I think is amazing because of the soundtrack. But also, every room is like, there's so many opportunities to save so much time. And it's easy to miss it with the wind mechanic. I mean, as we see Chai getting to that room just a little bit quicker than Flad. And you're going to see that on each screen as we keep going here. Like, it's so important to just nail all of these tricks as clean as possible.
Yeah, especially when the wind is going against you because losing your momentum is just super costly.
And we got the crowd going for Archie there. Both Flad and Chai getting it.
A very nice little trick there. Effectively a demo into a bubble, but... Oh, Flad taking a death instead of the bubble. This is big for Chai. Let's see if he's able to keep capitalizing on this.
That's going to be a huge one. That actually might make these times a little closer just because, you know, the 1.5 second death and then having to start all the way back at the beginning.
And try taking a little bit of a bump to start this little auto-scroller here.
We're going to see an Ultra from... Oh! Getting that corner bop that we were talking about. He's going to try this one again, and we are looking to be about squared up. Flad going to get that Ultra this time. Chai's going to get the second time there, but that was a huge time loss. wonder if it would have just been better for him to hit retry and then start over versus going back and doing that whole section over again.
Yeah, I don't know. That's certainly a just really rough to see that mistake there because of how costly that ended up being. All of the auto scroller sections just so slow ultimately.
And we're seeing two different strats here. Fladervy did a reverse hyper in the previous room to get some more speed there, but Chai going for the more traditional route as we are heading towards the second auto scroller skip, or actually there's no skip here.
Yep.
Getting ahead of myself, that's all right.
I think there is a strat to like skip getting this coin and you like do a really precise dash to get past that spiky block, but it's ridiculous. I don't think I've ever seen anyone go for it and actually get it.
It's mainly done for the IL records. I think Scrublord, last I checked, he had the world record for the IL on this one. Chai running into a problem, having to retry the stage again. Oh no, hitting the spikes. Oh my gosh, this is not a good spot to be doing that as Fladervy is heading into Cliff Face, the final portion of Golden Ridge.
And speaking of the spike death, I'm sure some of you are noticing how close these guys are getting to spikes. Celeste is pretty interesting in that if you're not moving into spikes, you won't be affected by them. So like, let's say that there's a vertical wall with spikes on it. If you're only moving vertically and not horizontally at all, you won't be killed by the spikes. And so we use that mechanic for something called spike jumping, where you're grabbing onto the wall and jumping with the D-pad completely neutral. And Madeline is able to just grab and keep jumping up the wall despite it being covered in spikes. It's kind of interesting how the game is programmed to effectively like make spikes work the way they would in real life.
All right, and Fladervy is getting out with a 2:47 for Golden Ridge. Very nice time here. Chai, again, a little bit behind. He's going to look to maybe get about 3:10, depending on how this last room goes here. And also, we forgot to mention during Cliff Face, the wind is going so hard that walking is literally impossible. So you have to rely on your dash mechanic. So it's really important to make sure you have those routes lined up. Chai getting out with 11:06. So we're seeing this big change here as we head into 5B.
Yep. Now, this is a very, very interesting level in the speedrun because if you've ever played this game casually, you know that there are cassette tapes throughout that unlock B-side levels. We figured out, an unfortunately long while after the game was released, that completing the B-side unlocks the next A-side. So if you've never actually completed Mirror Temple, the standard level, but you complete Mirror Temple B-side, it acts like you just completed the standard level and you unlock Reflection. And it was actually found that taking the time to go unlock the tape and then complete B-side is actually faster than just completing the A-side all at once. And we see Flad going for this yeet jump here, building up a lot of momentum, and we have a true yeet, no yeeting today. Very nice.
Chai getting set up for his yeet attempt as well.
And
just a half one.
Yeah, losing a pretty good amount of momentum. Going to be an unfortunate yeet. And as Flad moving in for the cassette tape here.
I'll say these cool blocks here. It's hard to tell because the audio is not available, but those are set up to go to the beat of the song that's there. And you'll actually notice on Chai's screen here, he's going to start dashing down on this pink block here. And what that does is, so when you dash in the game, it actually freezes the in-game timer for just a few frames. It doesn't really apply anywhere else except for these rooms because they have to keep those, the game freezes for a couple frames every time that you dash, except in those tape rooms because they have to save with the music. So we use that dashing down multiple times to save just a couple frames here or there on the IGT.
Pretty interesting. I didn't actually realize that that was the purpose of those dashes.
Yeah, it's like, I think it's 2 or 3 frames. I'm not sure, but Bubs drop.
Oh, Flad with a first try Bubs drop fail. Chai can make up a lot of time here. Bubs drop, as you can see, a significant trick to fail because of how much time you lose. Both of them basically synced, setting it up again. Just Chai with the... Oh, Flad with a secondary fail. Okay. Chai definitely has a chance here to make up a considerable amount of time.
So every failed Bubs drop attempt is roughly about 10 seconds added onto your time. So you have to come back in and restart each time. All right. There we go. Flad's going to get it the third time. He's going to keep on going here, but that is going to give that break for Chai, but he's taking a death here.
Yeah, taking a kind of interesting spike death just with the late boost off of that booster platform. And for those wondering how exactly that trick works, you're never meant to re-enter that screen from that side. And so by doing a I think it's like a 2-frame window to do a wall jump and then like go back downwards, you're able to not actually go over the one-way platform And when you fall back into the room and then use the give up function in the pause menu, because the game never expects you to go back into that room from that entrance, it just assumes that you went in from the far right entrance, and that saves considerable time since you don't have to take all the auto-scroller bubbles. Now, Chai losing a lot of that lead due to that late death in this room. Commentator not able to speak due to just the drastic lead changes and lots of action.
There's a lot. There is always something going on in a Celeste run here. All right, Flad getting set up here with these coins, getting the Seeker to help out.
Yeah, do you think either of these guys are going to be going for that new 1.5 cycle?
I think Flad is going to go for it. Let's see.
Yeah, Chai rocking the standard.
Oh, yeah, look at this.
Yup, wow. Nice 1.5 cycle here.
Saving that time yet again.
Doing that jump from off screen is just so ridiculous, but these guys making it work super well.
All right, now we got Theo coming in. You saw that Flad dropped Theo and then did a reverse hyper and then went to grab him. So anytime that you grab Theo, your momentum is still carried. So you still want to try to get as much speed as you can, because while holding Theo, you are not allowed to dash. So we use it where we kind of just drop him off, get a nice wind-up going, and just get that momentum here. Chai going into the impossible room, making it look very easy as he heads to the last section. Oh, as I say that.
Yeah, not quite easy, it seems.
It's going to allow Flad to generally extend the lead here. Again, we're looking at the IGT timer. We've got Chai coming in at about 15:09, and then Flad with a 14:49. So we've got 20 seconds here as we head into Reflection.
And nowhere near insurmountable. And Reflection movement gets very, very real.
Oh, yeah.
In the story of this game, you're getting very close to the summit at this point. You can even see this Aurora Borealis. Aurora Borealis, at this time of year, in this location, localized exclusively to your kitchen. Yes.
And we also have our new mechanic with the golden feathers here. This actually brings up a good point, because both of these runners are using keyboard. And as I'm saying that, they get lake skip like it's absolutely nothing.
Yeah, lake skip, you're normally supposed to do a pretty decent amount of movement down there, but with those spike jumps that I mentioned earlier, you're able to just skip over this entire section.
Yeah, it saves about 4 seconds from the normal route. But with the feathers here, so it's omnidirectional while you're in it. So if you're using a game controller and an analog stick, it's very easy to just fine-tune your movement, and it's really nice. You can't really do that on keyboard. So you're going to see a lot of like little wiggles as they're going through the feathers here to just trying to get things lined up. I know one of the big topics is what is better to run Celeste. Do you want to run it on keyboard or should I run it on game controller? For the top 4, funny enough, 3 of the 4 runners are on keyboard. So it's, on paper, it looks like it might be the better route to go. But then at the same time, the one person that is using a controller has the world record and has held the world record for quite some time. So I don't know. It's a tough call. I feel like whatever is most comfortable for you.
Yeah, that's ultimately how I feel too. I think for the diagonals and like just general movement, keyboard may have just a bit of an advantage since you have 3 fingers that you can use as opposed to just 1 thumb. But if you're very used to using controllers, as Tej has said that growing up using controllers, Tej says that that's why he prefers controller. And of course, with that added joystick, the golden feather movement is a lot more free. So it really ultimately just boils down to personal preference.
It makes me curious to see if anybody would try to use like a hitbox.
Ooh, that'd be interesting.
Yeah, it would be, because I feel like you would get the feel of, you know, controller with like the buttons and everything, but then have that nice precise movement with the 4 extra buttons to press. It'd be very interesting. All right, so we are getting ready to get to this.
Ooh, Chai with an unfortunate death, not able to actually hit the golden feather. And these bumpers are really, really tricky. So the cardinal and ordinal directions, in case you don't know, ordinal means diagonals. Today you learned. But each of those directions is a little bit extra sensitive. So like if you dash into the bumper just slightly off of the very top, it'll still act like you hit the exact top. But there is a little bit of leeway in between those little sections. So you can hit the bumper just slightly weirder than you're used to and end up getting flown in a completely different direction than you're expecting.
It also doesn't help that they move ever so slightly. They're just kind of swaying in the wind. So you can just, you know, if there was anything to be close to an RNG factor, it would be that. Flad showing off the swag here on the Kevin block to get ready for...
What? Are you what? So Chai demonstrated what that's supposed to look like with the man. So that was Battle and Boost. Just anytime that you're on a moving block like that and you dash, you carry on the momentum from the dash. And Flad trying to skip the cutscene overly early and taking a death before even the first battle and hit. What is happening on Flad's side?
I am shook.
DJ Shadow must have walked into the building because the mountain is falling on Fladervy's head right now. What even? Just a true Celeste calamity, a mountainous meltdown. Just, wow. That is not what we were expecting.
Yeah,
now,
not at all.
Chai definitely still has his work cut out for him, especially towards the end of this battle and fight section here. Because in these later rooms, you have a lot of movement to do, and there aren't many checkpoints. So every room entrance counts as a checkpoint, and later on the rooms are so long that taking a death towards the end can lose you like almost 20 seconds.
Yeah, so far, there was little hangups early on Chai's screen too, but everything seems to smooth out here. We're going to see Flad doing this nice strat. Oh my gosh. That gives me life every time I see it. It's so cool looking.
And especially when you remember like how long the battle and fight takes you casually, watching speedrunners do it, you're just like, why doesn't battle and just run? Yeah. Doesn't she know she's outnumbered?
All right, so Chai moving a little bit ahead here. And again, you know, we want to look at that IGT timer. See, as we get ready for the second portion here, Chai is going to enter this room at a 1941. We'll see where Flad is at. Give you guys a better idea here. Now, I believe, are we going to have a sync as we go into Summit? Is that what we're going to do here? Or are we just going to run this one out? Do we know?
I think we're just going to be running this one out since we would probably have to completely pause the stream on Chai's side for that sync. But, we'll have to see. We have been slowing and speeding up the videos in order to try to maintain the sync, but of course, when you get later on this run, it gets even more difficult to maintain.
Yeah, definitely. All right, now Chai in the second to last screen. And do nice reverse hyper there. Just getting geared up here. Now, this is the other screen that I was talking about. Just sometimes battling is like, yeah, we're going to just stop you in your tracks here.
Yep.
So far, so good. We're going to see about this feather here.
Oh, Chai dashing right into the spike wall there.
I wonder, so one of the things that has been happening here is if you get in the feather animation right there, when you first enter, that is a death because Battlein will line up and just snipe you out. How are you going to save this, Chai? Okay. Woo!
And bouncing right into it. Wow, the laser was about to fire. Oh, man.
Holy moly.
Really lucky, ultimately. Now, Chai leveling up. So the story in this section is Battlein just really trying to stop you in your track. As she was saying, you know, you are not a mountain climber. I'm just trying to help you. Really exemplifying that self-doubt, you know, trying to just say, like, I'm helping you by letting you not fail and such. But eventually, both her and Madeline realize that the way that they're going to have the most success is actually by working together. And that's what that level up screen does. And so now in this last section, as we said before the race even started, we are going to be recapping just about every area in the game. But with that level up, we actually now have 2 dashes instead of just 1 for every time that we're in the air. So you're going to be seeing a lot of very interesting movement that's only specific to this chapter because of that new mechanic.
Yeah, most notably, you will see that in 1000, which is Chapter 2. Also, each section is marked off by 500 meters, so 500, 1000, 1500, etc., etc. That is an homage to the Celeste Classic game, which Matt and Noel did as part of a game jam.
Yeah, so that's really interesting. We haven't really talked about like the origins of this game. Matt made this game, Celeste, for a game jam using a system called the Pico 8, which is just like a sort of... I guess you could call it like a fake computer. Like you can't go out and buy a Pico 8, but it's a fully defined instruction set like a normal computer, and it's intended to make like small like 8-bit pixel art type games. And so Matt makes this Celeste game for a game jam. It gets so popular among Pico 8 users that he ends up deciding to make it into a full game, which is what you see here. And if you have played the game casually, you might remember that in the resort chapter in the laundry room, there's a little secret alcove where you find a little computer that is actually a Pico 8 that you play Celeste Classic on.
Yeah, it's definitely fun. It's nice to see how it started out and then what it's become. Because like the dash mechanic is there, the whole 9 yards and everything else. But now we are moving into 1,000 meters, and again, the dream blocks are here. One thing that we did not mention in Chapter 2 is that you can actually hyper dash out of these blocks. In Chapter 2, it's not really good because you don't have a dash afterwards, but with this extra dash, you are able to get some insane movement. As you see there on Fladervy's screen.
Yeah, anytime you're seeing Madeline leave the block and then have red hair, that means that she already used the initial purple dash, and so that's where these hypers out of the dream blocks are coming from.
This is arguably one of the funnest sections in Summit, in my opinion. Just like really just getting those hypers out of that, it's just a lot of fun. You just have a lot of crazy movement going on.
It's so satisfying at the end of the day.
Especially that sound effect when you go through the block. I love it. Yep, just it's so great.
The sound design throughout this game is just so elegant, ultimately.
I know we're moving it into 1,500. This is probably one of the most infamous places in the game. We're back in the resort, and you see Fladervy taking a death there from the Dust Bunnies. Basically, this is just like amped up to 5,000, in my opinion. It's frustrating. You have these two long rooms. Chai is in the first one here, taking a death.
Yeah.
As Fladervy's going to do the same thing, and it's just, it's unforgiving. It's just like there's so much that's going on. In a death here just sets you back so far.
And I feel like just generally the Dust Bunnies move faster in this section than they did back in the actual resort.
Ooh, can we talk about that movement from Fladervy's screen? And, oh my gosh, Chai getting corner bop and able to recover from that in the triple ultra room. Oh my goodness. So good. That room in particular is like also notorious because it's just like you don't have a lot of places to go, and speedrunners make it look so easy. All right, so we are now getting into 2,000 here. Again, Fladervy ahead, but looks like about almost 30 seconds. Maybe a little more.
Yeah, something like that as we get into the Golden Ridge section. Quickly approaching the flags, just Mirror Temple recap separating us from that. But before then, we're going to be bounding under the terrain in just a moment here.
I see what you did there. Otherwise known as the auto-scroller skip, depending on what you would like to call it. So Flad is...
Oh, actually opting for
the safe strat, and actually it paid off. I mean, Chai went for it, and we see that he has to do this over. He's going to get a second try.
And so that's the bounding under the terrain right there. So it just skips having to wait for these blocks in the second half of that room.
And this is equivalent to basically an auto-scroller section in a game if you were speedrunning it. You have to rely on those blocks to do their bidding, so to speak. But, we find ways to get around it.
Yeah, and ultimately, we haven't really talked about this, but Celeste has virtually no RNG. All of the cycles are based on when you enter a room, and so even if you mess up one room really badly, the next room, you have a clean slate again.
Yep.
And in addition to that, as we see there, just Celeste is a very ultimately consistent game that mainly relies on the player's skill, ultimately.
All right, nice corner boost and Flad here. Playing it safe there. I respect that move. So you can corner boost off of that and go into an ultra. We'll see if Chai's going to go for it. As I was explaining that. It's really risky. Like, you just can mess up the timing, and that room is the one you don't want to start over because you have to go in the red block or the red bubble and just kind of go through it. So I'm respecting these safer plays from Flad.
Yep.
And they're paying off because we're seeing Chai kind of going for the more aggressive stuff and getting those deaths, and it's just adding up.
Oh, yeah. And we see both of them with a nice spike jumps to run up that tunnel to go ahead and grab that key as we're making very, very steady progress.
All right, we've got Flad threading the needle here. A very precise jump there. And, of course, the infamous door skip. We got one, and we're getting another one
We've got the double. Let's see if Chai can also go ahead and match these. That's one. And we now have the double-double. Very nice. Nice and clean, effectively animal style.
And we're going to get to this last room. This one has been causing trouble, too, but it's not an issue for Flad as he's heading into the home stretch here in 3,000.
Yep, 3,000 being where you have 30 flags to climb, and after which you finally reach the summit of Celeste Mountain, which marks the end of the game. And so you're going to be seeing a lot of just really wild movement. This is certainly casually one of, if not the hardest section in the game, I feel like. Not counting the B-sides, of course.
And then this first section here, the downdraft, very punishing. So the wind is back, but instead of left to right, it's going straight down, and it limits Madeline's height. So again, we're using that dash because the dash negates any wind effects to just basically try to climb up as fast as we can.
Yeah, and then just taking very, very brief stops on the sporadic platforms in order to get the dash back to go even further up. You'll even see in a couple of spots, especially like later on. Ooh, kind of rough death from Flad there. But especially later on, you'll see a couple of spots where we'll land on a platform where a flag is, but because the flag is so far in and it would take like an extra half second to grab it, we just completely skip the checkpoint.
And that is a very risky move in itself because the checkpoints are, you notice that we're not doing any screen transitions here in these sections. And basically all checkpoints are on these flags. So ideally, the runners are going to try to skip flag number 10, 9, and 8. So that's a lot of ground to cover because the death there forces them all the way back to flag number 11. Yep. I have not seen any mishaps like that from all the runs that I've commentated or watched. Let me knock on some wood real quick as we are approaching that section. But it does save a good amount of time. All right, so Flad is there first. He's on flag number 11. Chai not too far behind. Going to see if Flad's going to get 10 or not. Opting to skip it.
Yep, that's that little half-second saver.
Oh.
So Chai going to go ahead and grab the flag a little bit unintentionally, it looked like, just from climbing up through that ledge.
And then Chai actually taking flag number 9. And
good thing he did.
Yeah. All right, so now they're on flag number 7, heading into the home stretch here. But again, Flad on about a 30, almost 40-second lead here.
And ultimately, really nice pace for a first race.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Here at Pace.
Yep. I can't even fathom, like, the unseen pressure that they're probably going through with, coming in with the Final Four.
And having to play live in an unfamiliar environment. Ooh, cutting that a little bit close to the spikes and ending up taking a death because of it. Right around here is about where you could do a demo dash, but there's no fail-safe setup like there is with the one in Chapter 3. So until a setup like that's found, no one's really going to be going for anything like that. The way that those work, even though the spike walls look totally solid, they're made of like effectively globs of spikes. And so there are some spots where those globs have like a bit of a space between them that you don't visually see. But Chai finishing up with a 29.48, and Flad going to be finishing it out with about a 30-second lead.
And then again, you notice that Chai was going to be the one that finished first, but we are looking at that in-game timer, which ultimately determines the victor. So excellent work from Fladervy. They're taking down that first game. Looking a little relaxed. Got the nice audience out there too. Everybody just kind of filing in. Again, if you're in the area, stop on by. Chai, they're looking cool. Oh, nice thumbs up. Appreciate it. Looking really good.
You can also see in the crowd M Sushi, one of our other competitors, as well as it looks like we might have a Zelda Freak glitch in the house. Not quite sure. So, yeah, what a first race already. Chai really holding his own.
Yeah, definitely.
And Flad showing a couple of cracks in his armor, so.
Just a little bit, yeah. Again, I think that's just that first game nerves. We're at a huge event. We're at the Final Four of the league. Nerves are definitely going to play a factor. But also, from the trend that we had in the league itself, things don't really start ramping up until the second game. I'm expecting Fladervy to really just, take all the brakes off and just go. You got that first one out of the way. All the nerves are gone. Everything is ready to go. And, I'm expecting a stellar performance coming into game 2.
Oh, yeah, definitely same here. And I think now that Chai maybe has some of those nerves out himself, he's probably going to be playing maybe a little bit more conservatively than before, knowing how the risky strats have costed him a pretty decent amount of time. Getting that higher 29 isn't something you want in a race, especially when you're capable of those mid to low 28s. So certainly going to be interesting to see how his strats change going into this next race.
I feel like the better thing to do would be to not be as risky in some of them. Like, for example, in 2500, we saw Fladervy not going for that ultra strat and was able to pass it by, but then Chai taking that death there. I would probably omit that from the run, but then some of the other ones, I would probably still keep it going. I think it just really boils down to confidence, and I know that Chai's very confident in the game, and as technical as Celeste is, deaths are going to happen. I believe we have not seen a run where it's been 0 unintentional deaths yet. I think the closest is 1.
Yeah.
And I think it was Teach's former world record where he had a random death in city or something like that. So,
Yeah.
like it's going to happen, but it's important to just like keep that mental state, like keep that mental fortitude, and just really focus in on what you have to do. Not getting caught up, not getting hung up. Like for example, we saw on the bubs drop situation, Vlad missing it twice. It's very easy. If you were not in a race setting, that's a reset.
Oh yeah, easy.
Like you're just like, well, I'm gonna start over, and and resetting a run, you already know what your mentality is on that. You're just like frustrated and just like, come on, you got to get this together. So, but he was still able to maintain his composure and to get going. And even with those 2 failed bubs drops, he was able to clinch the victory. And that's really what it boils down to. Like it's the mental game is so strong in this setup. Like it's easy to get in your head and just start, having the run fall apart. So I think anybody that is able to keep their composure is going to really excel and maybe take a couple games off of people. We'll see.
Oh yeah, definitely. And Chai, even though having finished about like 30 or so seconds behind, that's, I mean, especially against someone like Vlad, that's an impressive finish.
Very impressive.
Especially with all of the mistakes that he had throughout the run. So he's definitely put himself in a position to really give Vlad a run for his money.
Yeah. It's going to be good. I'm definitely looking forward to the second race here. I mean, looking back, like reflection from both runners was pretty rough. There was a lot of like mishaps and hang-ups there. So you're going to want to just, ideally, it's not even about deaths. It's just cleaning up movement and everything else. And they'll be able to get back on. It's going to be interesting to say the least.
Oh yeah, and I think Chai certainly is probably kicking himself a little bit for those mistakes in Golden Ridge, especially that auto-scroller mistake.
I was just about to bring those up too, the Golden Ridge mishaps that happened. Resort looked pretty clean from both runners from what I saw.
Oh yeah. In fact, I think if anyone had issues, it was Vlad towards the start, which is really interesting to see.
Yeah, just a little bit of movement problems there. And I mean, ideally the flow of the races, we don't really start seeing things happen until 4, 5, and 6. It's like, ooh, excuse me. Chapters 1 and 2, like they're so short and optimized. It's like, okay, I'm gonna blare through it. 3 can cause a little bit of a shakeup, but 4, 5, and 6 is where things really, like, I feel those are the most important chapters next to Summit. Summit is like in a league of its own because, it's the longest chapter and it covers a lot. But
yeah,
4, 5, and 6 are the ones where it's just like you are solid coming out of 4, 5, and 6. You have a very good chance of taking the game.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I mean, that's really where we saw the major lead develop on Vlad's side. So it's really going to be about whether Chaikitty can pull out a much more solid, consistent performance on those sections in this next race coming up.
And he's definitely capable of doing it too. And I'm also interested to see, because we have M Sushi and TGH here also, and they'll be playing next after this first set. If they're taking any notes or kind of like paying attention to what is going on with the runs themselves, like are they seeing the nerves? Like ideally, if I were to see somebody that was nervous prior to me going and doing a run myself or like a race myself, that would kind of put me at ease. I would feel a little more relaxed.
Oh yeah. And if nothing else, you at least feel more natural about having nerves, which in itself kind of alleviates a little bit of that. As long as you know that everyone else is also nervous, that certainly helps a lot. Now, one thing that I don't think we've actually mentioned yet regarding the prize pools. So you can actually donate directly to the prize pools, or if you subscribe or donate 500 bits, we will add $2 to the prize pool. I know it seems a little bit weird. It's because of the fact that bits aren't actual currency, and we can't actually do a one-to-one trade or anything like that. So the additional funds are going towards general expenses like the venue expenses and such. So if you want to increase the prize pools even more, if you think the gameplay is really impressive, go ahead and donate. Get those subs in. GSA has some really quality emotes. I'm sure there's going to be some GSA fire in the chat. Maybe a couple of GSA hands just to show them off.
Oh, yeah. I like the GG one. The
oh, yeah. GSA GG is so good.
That's probably my favorite one out of all of them.
My favorite has to be GSA S. Oh, man. Bowser with Cappy is just so good.
But yeah, it's... Again, a solid outing for the first part here. I'm looking to see where we're going to go with it from there. And then I guess we can, we got Teach versus Sushi coming up too.
Yeah, we can certainly talk a little bit about that.
A little bit about
as great as Flad is playing and as just dominant of a player as Flad has been historically, Teach is right up there and just barely edging him out. I feel like Teach is just just a wild player. And I feel like a lot of that has to do with his dedication to no resets.
Yeah.
For the past couple of months or so, he's just been exclusively doing no resets.
No
and
reset challenge.
you can see the consistency increase. He has a spreadsheet tracking all of those times, and you can see the time just falling on average.
I like to call him, I like to refer to him as the king of consistency. It's just like every run that he does, it's like, I would love to see if there was like, if you took all the VODs and just like overlaid them.
Yeah,
and just kind of see just how similar everything kind of goes. And also, too, it's just like Tija's best chapter arguably is Summit. I mean, like, he has hit that one so hard, so often, to the point where if you do not have a lead going into Summit against TGH, I would say you have a 0.1% chance of winning.
Yeah, it would pretty well take, like, a way of the game crashing being discovered or something like that.
Or, like, you know, someone's just going to have to, like, pull him away from the game. But it's just how much dedication he has put towards the game. I mean, I'm curious to see on his Steam, like, how many hours he has put into the game.
Oh, man, it's got to be a ridiculous number.
Yeah.
It's got to be comparable to, like, people's Skyrim numbers and GTA numbers
stuff like
and stuff
that.
like
It's
that.
like, I mean, like, I know for myself, I've done it because someone had asked me recently, and I have hit, I think, 500 hours just in Celeste. And that's just on PC, because I used to run it on PS4 and Nintendo Switch as well. So, but I feel like that's not even a fraction to what.
Oh, yeah. No, he's easily topped 1,000 hours, I'm sure. At the level he's playing at, he has to have. And it's like we kind of mentioned earlier, interestingly enough, just about every dominant player in this game plays with keyboard except Teach. He's about the only one that plays with the controller, which is just absurd to me, honestly, but he makes it work.
Yeah. And then Sushi, too, I mean, like, leading up into PACE, he's been just grinding the game really hard. And just, like, he's mentioned on social media how he has been on PACE to PB. And then, like, Summit just comes up and it just, like, just bashes him and knocks him down. And he actually pinpointed a particular section. I believe it's between flag 23 and a 22. It's just, like, things just is not working for him. Like, one instance was he missed the platform entirely, and Madeline just fell down to her death, and there was nothing he could do about it. So he feels like maybe it's a little bit of a mental block, but for me, I feel like all he has to do is just get through that part one time. If he can do that,
an instant huge PB. I feel like I feel like once his stat card comes up, you'll probably be like, his PB is a little bit far behind Tija's, but he's certainly due for a pretty big PB
pretty big
at
jump.
some point soon.
Definitely. All right, so we are definitely hearing the nice cool breeze from the Celeste title screen. So I think we are getting our audio stuff squared away here.
I'm gonna hear those little piano notes just sporadically placed.
Actually, this is nice because I know when doing the Celeste League, for some reason I didn't have the game audio.
Oh,
like,
really?
Yeah, I couldn't hear it from like our restream. So.
Oh yeah, because when we would do restreams, it was all through Discord calls and so.
Yeah, so it's gonna be nice to have the music in the background.
So I guess since we have a little bit of time, we could talk just a little bit about some of the characters in the game, like Theo. We didn't really touch on Theo at all.
Yeah.
I feel like he's probably like my favorite besides Madeline and such, just because of how just over the top he can be.
I know.
Times.
And he's like from Seattle, or like he worked in Seattle and did all that stuff, and he's like trying to find himself and access to social media and everything.
And he takes selfies all the time, and
all the time.
Like one of the only times a character says an actual word-ish is when he says YOLO, and the sound effect is like no.
Yeah, that is true. One of my favorite characters besides Madeline and Badeline, because I love both of them, actually is Mr. Oshiro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when you find the letter, or Oshiro's diary entry, that's a really interesting moment, I feel like.
Yep. And then also actually one of my favorite characters that I don't think anybody talks about is the Crow. Is the little bird.
Oh yeah.
The little bird. He just kind of pops up, you know, he's in the prologue, he tells you how to do your moves, and then he just kind of appears out of nowhere, like just extra subtly. I bring that up because I know that they tweeted out a link to one of the songs used in the Chapter 9 DLC, and the gift that they have is brand new gift. I haven't seen any of this, and it looks like it's in game, but like that crow is just kind of flying along, and I'm like, what are you doing here?
Okay, so real quick, in order to fix the game audio, we are going to have to cut and restart the stream. So just refresh after about a minute or so after the stream goes offline. Just a little heads up, the stream will be going offline